County weather.
On this Thursday, March 14th of 2024, at 35 after 11, we've got a temperature of 63 degrees with partly sunny skies in Beaver County. That's a look at the news for now. I'm Curtis Walsh for 99.3 FM and AM 1230 WBVP, also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
It's time for Notes on Local Entertainment, the show highlighting the best in local talent, hosted by Scott Tady Entertainment, editor for the Beaver County Times, and Eddie Crow.
I told you at the onset it was going to be a busy day. It has been a busy day. Josh Kale and Jim Marshall were my guests for the first hour because it was wrapping with the Rebs. You just got a half hour, wonderful half hour with Mike Romine. And now here comes Tady. No pressure, and through zero ability or focus of myself, today's been a really good program. You're the Beaver County Times entertainment editor. No pressure. How you doing?
Doing well, though. I just walked by your office. What are all those Yarmir Yager bobbleheads doing?
Dude, what is there a quicker way to become evil person number one in Yinzerville than to steal a shipment of Yarmir Yager?
Yeah, people were going to go to the game expecting to get those. They're going to get a voucher, I guess. But,
they're getting a voucher.
That is cruel. Yeah. That's like Tony Soprano level stealing.
What are you going to do with them? Because every one of those, they know what order it came from. You're not going to post it on eBay and the cops show up. And I don't know if cops got that, but, well, that's a different Yarmir Yager.
I think some will turn up at the Rogers Flea Market in Ohio.
Right next to the tube socks.
Yes. And the live turkeys or whatever else they have.
Do they really?
Well, no, they have turkey legs, but they have live animals. If it can be sold, it's sold at the Rogers, Ohio Flea Market.
So you fans of the Yarmir Yager bobblehead that you ain't going to get, off you go. Are you one of those people, because of your job, you can score swag? If you cover sports, if you cover the Pirates send you all that stuff, okay? If you cover the Penguins send you that stuff. Well, mostly. Were you a guy, because I know that you knew people in media that their number one gig, they showed up when the free stuff was, right?
Yeah, I don't have too many bobbleheads, to be honest. And I've sold a couple. I had like a Josh Harrison one for the Pirates for a while, and I don't know.
You don't have any gold records or stuff like that?
No. Well, I have a lot of laminates. How does that count?
No, that's proof that you were there.
A lot of free albums, but yeah, no, not too much swag.
I brought a question up yesterday, and I don't know if I can answer it yet myself, but I'm going to throw you under with it. You get into heaven by some miracle. You're allowed to take one record, not a double record, not a double live set. You get one record for all of eternity. What's the first record that comes to mind?
So you're taking out Dire Straits All Can Make It's a double
That's
album.
a double record. That's
I
right.
gotta go Genesis Foxtrot, Peter Gabriel. I mean, half the album is about the Book of Revelation. It's got a religious tone. So if I'm going to be in heaven anyway, I might as well kind of appreciate it.
Might as well have something to chat around.
It's got the great early 70s Genesis sound, Mike Rutherford, all those guys. So, yeah, and Peter Gabriel, I'm a big fan. How about that? What was your pick?
It would have been Alchemy, but I'm applying it.
Double album?
It's a double album. You can't do that.
Tough rule.
Yeah, the socialistic rules of musical heaven is how I look at it. Scott Tady is my guest. It's there was one other grown-up question I wanted to ask you, and it's completely slipping my mind now after the day that's been going on.
I saw your post Penn State is going to be teaching a Taylor Swift course.
Yeah, that's it. You want to go? I've shared my thoughts on it. Taylor Swift could walk into the room right now, and it wouldn't have any effect on me one way or the other.
I think we can learn a lot from her, though, how she's marketed herself, how she's raising the economy in every city she goes to.
I agree. Those things are already taught in college. Economics class and marketing class and
you took
sales
those boring classes. Did you stay awake?
I didn't take those classes.
Well, and that's why you're in radio and I'm in journalism.
That's exactly right. But that information is available without it being about Taylor Swift. And
I mean, it's an elective course. They're not requiring you to take it. You know, what the heck?
What was the dumbest elective? Because there's always some semester you need an hour, you need 3 more hours, you have no idea and no interest in anything. What was the class that you snagged?
At Duquesne, we had appreciation of music, and we just listened to classical music and then had to write a little essay on it, and kind of prepared me for my future job. But just to sit there and listen to the Cleveland Symphony Orchestra performing Brahms's, symphonic whatever, it was kind of a cool way to get some credits. How about you?
I shot pool for a semester.
Oh, jealous. Was it billiards or pool?
It was pool. It wasn't. We weren't smart enough to understand billiards, but Miley Cyrus has a class where you can learn about Miley Cyrus. You can take a class on if Harry Potter is real.
Wait, he's not?
I see. You need to know that for the final. I think at IU you could study the Beatles in a class.
I think Pitt had that class too.
Did they?
I'm pretty sure.
What band should be studied academically that's not?
I would say Rolling Stones, the Endurance, the Legacy.
Fleetwood Mac if it's social studies because of all the
not a marriage class or relationship class, but yeah.
Right. What was the best class?
By the way, did you see my interview with Dave Stewart of the Eurythmics? And you said last week you would read it.
I have not read it. I love the Eurythmics, but he's the guy with Annie Lennox to most people.
Right. He had a funny story about he, of course, wrote Tom Petty's Don't Come Around Here No More. Mm-hmm. He was originally writing it for Stevie Nicks, and then he got a call he couldn't complete a couple lines, so Tom Petty's label guy said, hey, why don't you come to Tom's got a garage? You guys can work on it together. You can write it. And
you can hang out.
Next thing you know, it was a Tom Petty song, and Stevie Nicks was not too happy. But then Tom's like, well, she stole my Stop Dragging My Heart Around. That ended up on her album and not mine, so poor Dave Stewart was caught in the middle. It's all my story, but he was a fun interview. The Eurythmics, will him and Annie Lennox get together again? Annie says never say never. Could happen, but we get to see him Friday at PPG Paints Arena opening for Bryan Adams.
Summer 69 guy, right?
Indeed, yes.
I mean, among other things.
Yeah.
How weird would it be that you live your life and you just described it, Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger will never be, in the eyes of anybody, a human being. He is the lead singer of the Rolling Stones.
All right.
All right. Dave Stewart will never be, to most people, a human being. He was the guy that sang with Annie Lennox. Would that not be bizarre 30 years after a professional relationship ended, you're still connected to those people? You get asked about former coworkers from 25 years ago, and you're supposed to remember that?
In Dave's case, they were a romantic couple for many years until the hits came, and they kind of stayed together. At least they stayed together as a band and made a lot of money.
But, stay together for the kids and the hits.
Yeah, it would be weird. Yeah.
And it is Teleforum. What are you working on?
Donnie Irish show this Saturday. There are not a lot of tickets left, but there are some. Great chance to see Donnie at UPMC Event Center. He says he's raring to go. This will be his first show since completing the cancer treatments. So I think it's going to be a very emotional moment. When he first comes out on stage, I think you're going to hear a roar. The show's in Moon Township. You're going to hear the roar all the way in Aliquippa. People are going to be pumped for this.
That's with the Clarks?
And the Vindies, Great
and
Ohio
the Vindies.
band.
How big are you when you're short selling the Clarks around here? Oh, the Clarks are playing too?
Yeah. I saw 3 of the Clarks at the Jason Isbell show. So they went to Jason to get inspired, I guess. But
how was that show?
He gets better every time. I was like, oh, I got to see him again. But he gets better, him and his band, every single time. he didn't have his now soon-to-be ex-wife, Amanda Shires, playing a fiddle. But the band itself was just smoking.
How does that happen, that they get better every time? Is he upgrading the touring guys, or is it the same guys and they just playing hundreds more gigs?
I think it just becomes that chemistry, and the bond tightens. You get a tighter sound, and it's almost telepathic.
Yeah,
you can read each other's minds. When the drummer's going to go off and do something with the bass player, and just have that magical thing. And they care about the music, but the pressure's not on a high level too. Like they're not expected to sell out a stadium. They're not expected to have a song that's all over the radio. So I think they can just peel back, be themselves, have fun doing it, and the audience kind of picks up on that fun and gives it back to them.
Of all the artists you've interviewed, talking about venue size, it's always cool to have the aerial photo of 140,000 people in a soccer stadium somewhere for your band. Do you think there's a favorite size venue?
Ooh. I bet they would tell you the Heinz Hall size, the 3,500, because
two to 5,000 at most, because there's an intimacy that exists in those shows that you can't do at a soccer
you
stadium.
can see the faces of the people you're singing for, and the acoustics are usually better than you're going to get in a basketball arena, and definitely better than a stadium. I mean, I'm sure it feels great to get the paycheck from playing in the stadium, but as far as the actual performance itself, it's got to feel great to be in a 25,000, 3,000 seat place.
Just for the connection.
Yeah, don't you think?
I think it would be impossible to look out, and I remember, and you've seen the same photos, you'll see a picture of Queen at a festival back in the day, and it's 250,000 people.
Yeah.
It's Nebworth or Isle of Wight or whatever.
Rio, yeah.
And it's just a moving sea of humanity. Are there bands better suited to play to a crowd rather than with a crowd?
Probably.
It's like broadcasting versus communicating.
Yeah, I would think so. Like Motley Crue was not a good show a couple years ago at the stadium, but at least at the stadium they were able to have the gigantic video and then the fire and all that kind of stuff. So it made it probably covered up for some of the musical lapses if you'd have been seeing them in the Benham Center, where all they could rely on was their sound, because their sound's not that good anymore.
Well, why is their sound not all that good anymore? Or at least
vocals,
they're trying to play it right.
Right, yeah, for sure. It wasn't backing tracks, but Vince Neil's voice is just not what it once was. At least this night in Pittsburgh, it was pretty rough to listen to.
Does it matter to the people that grew up listening to that record?
Usually it doesn't, but
yeah.
I think in this case I heard a lot of people saying, "Oh man, that was rough sledding." But we kind of gloss over that sometimes. I think the whole jukebox thing. Oh, I get to go back and see Journey, and I get to hear these songs that I danced to in my prom, and yay! Never mind, it's not the original singer, and never mind, they're not singing in the same key. There's that nostalgia effect. I think
you're
cover
young,
up a little
you're
bit.
young again.
Exactly, and there's nothing wrong with that.
If Flesh Tones came up earlier this morning in a discussion.
Wow, with Josh Cale?
No.
Okay.
Surprising. That instantly took me back to that time.
Right.
And that's what music does. Who was the worst? I'm coming back and doing it live. Was David Lee Roth? Didn't he come out and try and do some stuff and just like 10-ear level bad?
Yeah, that was I can't remember if it was Mellon Arena at that point or Consol Energy Center or across the street at Civic, whatever. But yeah, he was trying to sing with the same enthusiasm, energy as he's running on the stage, but he just didn't have the breath. He was like losing his breath, and it was, Dave, this is a 1978. You're not doing those splits you are on the cover of your first and second album. It was he didn't adjust to some singers know to adjust the. You change the chord, you change the notes.
Your heart monitor beeps at you and tells you to slow it down.
Yeah, not too many people can do what they did 40 years ago.
When does it cross over? When does it stop being a music show and start being a spectacle? You mentioned the Motley Crue it was a big arena, so they had screens and they had this and that. David Lee Roth still trying to run in spandex back and forth. When does it stop being about the music and start being about, okay, I'm watching you?
Ooh, I don't know. I guess you could just tell by the sincerity and how they're singing, what they're saying, the banter with the audience, and is it a money grab or do they really look passionate about being there? And can't you just feel that when a band really wants to be there and they're really excited, or when they're just going through the motions doing the exact same show they did in Philadelphia the night before?
They're telling you hello, reading the card on the screen.
Pittsburgh, yes.
Hello, Scranton. Name a band that does that. I'll give you mine. I saw Tom Petty 3-4 times. Every time I saw Tom Petty, I got the impression that he would have been just as excited to do what he was doing, whether I was sitting there or not. And that made me love him.
Yeah, good example. Oh, top of my head. We've talked before about Black Crowes, how it's either an awesome event or a train wreck.
Either way, you can't turn away.
Right. I'm getting the impression that the show they're doing isn't the same one they did the night before, for better or worse. It feels like it's different and raw, and they're trying something new every time, and without a net, and sometimes they fall, but when they're on.
Do you think the average fan appreciates that, or the average fan? I want to hear stuff from the Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, and that, right?
For the people that get mad when it's not note for note like they heard on the album, I don't want it to be like Bob Dylan level where you don't recognize what song he's doing.
He changes the arrangements.
2/3 through the chorus. But I don't mind a band trying a few different twists, maybe slowing it up a little bit, maybe speeding it up, just enough of improvisation that makes it exciting.
Just enough to notice that it's not the exact same thing.
But I know you've heard people complain about that. It didn't sound like it did on the album. Well, it doesn't have to every single time.
No, maybe they were all sober on the album. Look at them up there now.
Or vice versa.
Or vice versa. It's going to sound different. Scott Tady of the Beaver County Times with me, comes in every Thursday. What are you working on?
Mentioned Donnie Iris.
Yeah.
Hey, Monaca's got a big parade. Let's shout out to Monaca of the St. Patrick's Day. Everyone always has to go down to Pittsburgh. This year we're having one Saturday in Beaver County. They're going to have a block party right there in the main drag. Monaca Brewing is kind of ground central for that. There's a band called the Low Kings. They're a Celtic rock band.
I like that name.
A couple of the guys are from Beaver County, including the guitarist who's really good. So you want to hear some live Irish music, have an Irish party, just go to Monaca this Saturday.
And we took care of your problem over on our sister station. Mr. Godwin is playing everywhere.
I heard him last night driving home. Thank you. I salute you mightily. And yeah.
Well, it's Beaver County musicians, man.
And they sound great.
And they don't sound like anything other than top tier.
Exactly.
But then you think, all right, well, between Crack the Sky and Donnie Iris and the Sky, it is top tier. You don't think of it because it's guys you see in the grocery store.
Exactly. It all ties back in. Yeah. Salute you guys. Charles Wesley Godwin and the Allegheny High is the name of the Beaver County band. They're going to be doing stadiums this year. They're opening for Luke Combs at 12 stadiums.
That's a pretty good gig.
Yeah. Let's bring them in and ask, what's it like to see 65,000 people out there singing along?
Would that be the coolest thing ever? Up until they didn't want to see you, because you hear those horror stories.
Yeah.
We got our break and we're opening for the Stones, and we went out there and nobody wanted to look at us.
Remember, that's how they used to bill George Thorogood. He was the first person to ever get a standing ovation from Rolling Stones fans. And that was like, in the late 80s?
Yeah, and that was
a while.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Was it Metallica? They booked a comedian.
Was it Bill Burr?
I think it was
saw
Bill
that show.
Burr.
Yeah.
Is anybody at a Metallica show wanting to hear comedy?
It took a while for people to get into it. Yeah, it never really quite caught on. I remember the first time I saw Yes back in the 80s, the opening act was they pulled out a big video screen. They showed Bugs Bunny movies. And somewhere along the line, a chant went up, "Bugs and drugs, bugs and..." And it wasn't started by me, but it was in the 80s. But
I'll say this. Any comedian that says, yeah, I'll take an opening act gig in front of a metal band, you got guts. I will salute you. I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, how about that?
You ever go to a show where you walk out going, okay, the band I went to see was garbage, but who are those openers? I think we talked about that. That's how I discovered Big Head Todd and the Monsters.
Oh,
That's how I discovered the Adam Duritz, Counting Crows. It's how I discovered the Jayhawks. They were the opening band.
Good band.
For the Black Crows.
Wow, didn't realize that.
So it's like, okay, well, the opening act was cool. I don't know what happened after that.
I remember seeing 21 Pilots at Altar Bar. They were the first of like 3 bands performing, and I'm like, these guys are pretty good. Who are they? Where are they going now? 5 years later, they're headlining arenas, but sometimes you can just tell, yeah.
You hear it, and you're like, okay, they're better than their bill.
Yeah.
Mr. Tady, it's good seeing you.
You as well. I like your green shirt.
Is it? Well, it's St. Patrick's Day.
Exactly.
Did I ever tell you that one of the worst broadcasts ever in the history, just in terms of personal safety? I ever tell you the story?
No.
It involved...
You at the parade?
No, worse. It involved me. It involved Sean McDowell. It involved 175 or 80 grocery bags of frozen green bagels.
Ooh.
And it involved Market Square.
Ooh. Pelted by bagels.
Frozen bagels.
Ouch.
And Sean caused it.
Oh.
All right, we'll talk off the air. I don't want to tell too many tales. Plus, it started to trigger me.
Let's face it, work is a large part of your life. Why not choose a job that allows the opportunity of a fulfilling career working with people who appreciate you? St. Barnabas Health System is looking for extraordinary service-minded